Hello, everyone. It's so nice to be today here to talk to you. And I love conversations with people who have experience of life and also the knowledge which they can share. And today I'm going to interview a beautiful student of mine who has a lot of more degrees and a lot of life experience so that she can inspire you to work on your health or work on your mind. So let's welcome Gail Hooley, who is from UK and has done the Ayurvedic Consultant Course Level 1, qualified as a basic consultant. Besides this, she has a lot of extra degrees, which is for her or for others, she will share with us, but she has also done the Perfect Health by Dr. Deepak Chopra and also done an intensive meditation courses and knows all the wisdom of life. Hello, Gail. It's so nice to have you here.
Hello there. That's a lovely introduction, the wisdom of life. Yeah.
The wisdom of life. You know, as we get older, we get wiser and smarter. And I'm so glad you're here sharing with my audience insights about yourself. Okay, so please tell us the first answer. I know your background because, you know, we've done consultations together. Yes. You moved from finance to health, 30 years in finance. And now look at you, completely in the health. What made this switch? Is there a movement? Is there a story about it?
Yes, there is. There is. It was in 2007, I had the opportunity to walk away from what I'd always done. I'd worked in finance in the motor industry, very male-oriented industry for a lot of years. And I had the opportunity to decide what I was going to do going forward. And that, you know, that's really exciting because all my life I thought I wanted the opportunity to decide my journey. But when it comes, it's actually a little bit daunting. And I actually found it very difficult. So I'm sitting there thinking, what do I want to do? I can do whatever I would like to do. What would I like to do? And I managed to narrow down my options. And I decided the way to work it out was, what is it that when I'm doing it, time stands still, that I really, you know, is my passion? And that was food. And I was very involved with food. And so I decided to take myself off to a place called Ballymaloe in Southern Ireland in County Cork and do a 3-month organic farming and cookery course. Mm-hmm. And that was a very comprehensive thing. It covered, you know, all the skills that you can imagine. And food hygiene and wine certificates and all those sort of things. And when I was there were 53 of us working there together. And I became very aware, even though that we were living very similar lives, even though we were eating the same food, we were working the same hours, and it was quite intensive, the work, we were all reacting differently to what we were eating. So some were sort of loading weight on because the diet was quite rich. Some were losing weight. Some were having digestive problems. And I began wondering what that was all about. What is it? And when I looked around me, and, you know, it became obvious we're different heights and weights and shapes. And, you know, we've come into the world all with different physiques. And I began to wonder if that was part of what it was all about. And when I came back from Southern Ireland, I was discussing this with a friend of mine, a medic, and who had an interest in Ayurveda. And she said, I think you might find the answers that you're seeking in Ayurveda. I suggest you go and do a little bit of investigating, which is how I came to go and do my course with Deepak Chopra.
Great. What a shift. You know, these moments of really shifting your thing from the world to ourselves, to start observing things inside us, is so beautiful. That, you know, it makes us understand that health and happiness is the foundation of everything. So when we feel this deep peace with ourselves, and of course it starts with food, because the food is the first form of love we receive, right? Like as we are born, we have the mother's milk and we don't know even who is our mother, but the food kind of calms us down.
Absolutely. It's the foundation of our health, isn't it?
Totally. Foundation
Everything
of our health.
Built on that.
Exactly. And the food has this 2 important points: what you eat and what you absorb. And what you absorb is definitely influenced a lot by your mindset, you know. So,
and I think by our environment hugely. And totally. I think the thing I noticed when I was doing this course, and I was noticing all these different reactions to food, I became aware that we were all there. We'd all stepped out of our lives for a 3-month period. So I suspect we were all at a crossroads of some description. And then you began to realize that somebody had been bereaved, or someone had got divorced, or someone had been made redundant, or, so we're all probably there was an awful lot of emotional energy within the course, within the participants, and that would have had its effect as well.
Definitely. Yes. And I think like the real shift comes when we take the responsibility of ourselves and how we feel, and how everything is just a reflection of how we feel inside, so this switch also must have changed really your environment. So from really like working in a motor company to helping people with their health,
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, I went from getting on and off aeroplanes and in and out of air conditioned sort of meetings, to being out in Southern Ireland, out in the open with animals and plants, and
what a huge difference it is.
Transforming. Yes,
exactly. Yes.
It was, absolutely. But while I was there, which was probably my energy, I was thoroughly enjoying what I did, and I was enjoying the interaction with others, but I was losing weight very quickly because with our Ayurvedic hindsight, we would know that there were certain energies going on with me, so I wasn't absorbing all those foods I was eating.
Exactly.
And that was very interesting.
Exactly.
There was a Vata thing going on there.
Exactly. And we all have a personal quest with food. Either it's a problem of having food, how we are eating it, which environment we're eating it, or it's about not absorbing or producing acid from the food, or your metabolism goes slow. So I think the different types always gives you like a personal insight. And that's why we require more and more consultants, because you need to consult somebody about yourself, no matter how many books you read, or how much because you're too attached to your story, so you have your own version. So when you work with someone, you also get more insights about yourself.
You really do. And I find this because I work with clients, and they will come to me and they will sit and tell me about their lifestyle and how they eat, and it's textbook, absolutely perfect, but they're not well. Something's going wrong. And
exactly,
it isn't that necessarily they're not eating healthily, they're just not eating the right things for them and for their constitution.
exactly.
And once you can get that message across people, they start to eat what suits them in a way that suits them at a time that suits them as well. And the transformation, I think, is really quite, well, more than surprising to them.
Totally. I think like there's always the basic corrections, but even people like who are working in the health field, they require different kind of corrections, because the basics are corrected. And knowledge is such a thing, like when you have it and then somebody tells you something, it really makes a lot of difference in accepting the information someone else is giving to you, because you have a little bit of your own knowledge.
I think it also helps that the way, in the way in which you teach, and the way that I've taken the things I've been taught and like to use them, I'm not the Ayurvedic police. I'm not there to enforce anything on people.
Totally.
I'm there to guide and help people to fight, to make Ayurveda work for them.
Exactly.
To make it flexible, fit into their lives, and make it doable. Because if it's too stringent, it's not doable.
Totally.
Well, not long term. It's not long term. And I don't want people to make short term shifts. I want to help them to make long term shifts.
Yes, and force doesn't work. Control doesn't work. And this is, you remember the Ayurvedic Consultant Course Level 1, Activity 1, that you can only help those who want to help themselves. It's such an important lesson, including for ourselves. If we think all the work with us is done and we are close to learning, we really can be having a lot of ego and thinking we don't need help, whereas we all have to be open to learning, because learning has no end.
You're absolutely right, because this has been my learning. You mentioned the various things I've done over all the years of my life, because you have a question and you go seeking the answer to the question and you find your answer, but it gives you 10 more questions. And that's something I love about Ayurveda. It's such a deep wisdom, and it could be a lifetime's work.
It
Well,
is a lifetime work, but then it's like, it's also exciting to have work, you know?
gosh, yes, yes. And of course, you choose to what degree,
Definitely.
you
And
want to study.
yes,
Whether it's just about you, whether it's about you and your immediate family and friends, or whether you actually are hoping to take that out into the wider world. And I know when I started on my Chopra journey, and I was kind of thinking about investing in doing this, I remember sitting and thinking, can I justify doing, going on these courses and going off and doing all these things? And, my conclusion was, even if it's only about me and my family and my friends, it's worth it. If you can just shine a light on those few lives, and then they in turn go out and they drop seeds for other people. So it is one of those one of those gifts you can give to people that grows.
yes. You know, when you wanted to join my course through a reference of a common friend, I saw your education and I was really like, that time only I thought, when she'll finish the course, I will ask her about like, what is the difference? You studied the Chopra system, you studied the meditation. What did you get from the course of the level 1? So that, you can tell me about what can really help people, what kind of information they're missing, which they can get it through the course.
Absolutely. The studies I've done have been very complementary. They fitted together very well. I mean, my Chopra education was mind-blowing for me, because that was my first real big step into Ayurveda. And I learned so much. I learned so much about Ayurvedic lifestyle and the changes we can make in our life, connecting to circadian rhythms and all those very important things. And I think the add-ons that I've benefited from hugely from doing ACOC1 have been particularly the food, the in-depth look at food, and the assistance you give us to create, the right meals for our clients and to give them the right advice. That's much more in depth, and I've found that very, very interesting. But also the psychology. I have found the psychology aspect of the Shivani, course really enlightening. That's really been an eye-opener for me.
Well, yes, that's been a discovery for me because, my answer was always to help people. No matter what I was doing, I was like, how can we really help the people to heal in the right way? And whenever I got the best herbs for them, the best foods for them, and they wanted to do it, I saw that the mind was doing something. It was
Absolutely.
stopping them, something was going on. I'm like, how can we help the mind with just philosophy? Like, we have to find easier way to present it to people that it's doable, it's understandable for the Western world, and it makes sense that they see the deep need to do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Recognizing that in ourselves is really, really important. But,
Yes.
with the psychology, someone recognizes that physically they're unwell. For example, I've got a couple of clients at the moment, one who's got a very high cholesterol problem, another who's got polycystic ovary syndrome, and some of the sort of unfortunate side effects of that, high blood pressure, insulin resistance, various things. And both of those clients really both knew they had to do something, that it was in their hands to do something, and they want to do something, but the mind was getting in the way.
Totally. I
They
saw
kept
so many
themselves up.
yes
They kept, they'd gone to various people, they consulted with various people, they'd tried various systems, and they almost, have come to me and sat down and said, well, I've done it all, nothing's worked, so what can I have to do?
Exactly.
And then when you get into the psychology of why they haven't been able to make those changes, although they desperately know that they need to make those changes, I think that's the edge. That's where it
Totally.
does.
That's what I realized, like 2006, I came out of India to the Western world, and I went out of learning to see, not really staying in Dharamshala, but really traveling to see how the world was different. And as I saw the world was different, I also saw how the world was similar.
Yes.
As we
Yes.
all have the same problem, being persistent, not knowing the right things which we need to do, not being in love with ourselves, but really being very highly judgmental, critical.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
actually, as I was learning, I didn't start to help other people. I started to first help myself. it started making me a better version. I even had a joke with my mother, like I said, like I release a better version of me every year, you know. So it's like I thought I was a computer software and I could release a better version, and I actually did it, you know. And as I saw, as I was resolving my problem, it was easier to help with other people.
Mhm.
So I set up a course in the clinic in which people actually physically came and studied, you know, to do it. And at a point it just shifted online, but I just love the personal contact with the
Yes.
people. So
Yeah.
all the courses have private consultation with me, so we can have a kind of connection to help one out first, and there's always something to do. Many
Oh
people
yeah.
start with I have nothing, everything is okay, but then when we start to talk, we all have stuff within us, no
It's
matter
like
how
peeling
high.
the layers of the onion, isn't it?
Exactly.
Peeling off the layers of the onion, just to get down and get through. Because
Yes.
we've built this facade. We've zipped our armor up, so many of us, and once we actually start to release a little bit of that,
Yes.
we actually can get to the root of what the problem is and feel so much better. We can't
Totally.
keep pushing it under. It has to be come up and be dealt with, doesn't it? It has to be.
Exactly. And it has to start with you. You know, that's
Yeah.
what my realization was. And that's why when the course went into online version, I always had this primary work which is done on the students.
Yes.
And all through the course, I'm saying, like, don't think about others. First you, first you. And they're
Yes.
like, oh, my mother, oh, my sister. I'm like, wait, you're going to get there, you know? So this is human nature, that we're always thinking like, oh, my daughter needs help, my husband needs help, but never thinking, oh, I need help first.
Yes. Well, in some ways that sounds like we're being very generous spirited. But what we're
Totally,
actually doing as well is not wanting to look at ourselves. We don't want
totally.
to look at ourselves.
Yes,
So whilst we're doing all this for others, we don't have to stop and analyze ourselves. And of course, we realize, having done the things that we've done and studied the things that we've studied, that you can't do it for others until you've done it for yourself, because you cannot serve from an empty bowl.
totally. And I think like it's also the basic right of every human being to see dreams, but aligned with their health. You can dream of anything. Look at you. You were in finance today, you're in health. Who thought?
Yeah.
Step by step, you just went deeper, and you know, you're now here. You're going to be a professional consultant end of the year. Everything is possible only if we allow ourselves to dream. But a good dream cannot happen without understanding the fundamentals of health, reading magazines or different things, and eating and buying products without actually understanding your body and mind. What do you think about that?
I think it's recognizing that health is a very personal thing.
It is.
I can pick up a magazine, and this month's diet in the magazine, and I look at it and I can go, oh, that was written by a pitter. They're going, this is fabulous, this works for everyone, and really pushing their cause. And then there'll be something else, and oh, this worked for me, it raised my energy, I never used to be able to do so. And so I'm thinking that's written by a CAFA. You actually get to recognize that. And when you see that and you think to yourself, that magazine's gone out onto the newsstands and it's gone to everybody. So that pitta pushing diet is now being followed by all the Vatas and Kaffas as well. And they're wondering why it doesn't work for them, because it's
Definitely.
not tailored to them. It has to, you have to bring it down to the individual. And what I do say this to clients as well, because sometimes I will work with the client and I've given them eating plans and things, and they go away and they go, well, I'm getting on fine with it, but it's giving my daughter gas and bloating. And I'm going, I didn't write it for your daughter. I didn't write it for your daughter.
Yes.
Your daughter needs to have her own plan. And I did mention that at the time, that this is about you. It is not necessarily going to be right for everybody else. But I think it's also important to get across to people that if you want to introduce an Ayurvedic lifestyle and way of eating into your family, it doesn't mean you've got to cook 4 different meals for everyone in your family. You just have to learn the little ways in which you can adapt what you're doing. And
Exactly.
that's something that you do learn a lot about in ACOC1.
Yes.
The way you can take basically one meal and just tweak here and there and do a few little things to make it adaptable and acceptable to everyone that's sitting around the table. And that's really important, because most of us are actually quite busy.
We are busy.
We obviously have things to do, so we need to make it fit our lifestyles. And so I think accessible Ayurveda is what we need.
It is, and easy to understand Ayurveda and Ayurveda, which kind of first puts light into who you are and what kind of work you need to do. It's all about you. If everything is okay with you, like in the airplanes, they say, before you help others, put the mask on yourself. I always
Absolutely.
like, why don't they see this in the life, that before they're like, nothing is good with my child, husband, or mother, father, why don't you look at yourself?
Yes,
So
absolutely. When we change, the
everything
people around
changes.
us
It
start to
does.
change.
And
And in fact, when
conflicts.
we change,
Mhm.
sometimes initially it destabilizes people slightly because they go, oh, she's changing. This is, not the person we're used to. But they're good changes. And they
Exactly.
they emanate from you, and the people around you start to change, and their
Totally.
energy starts to change because they're reflecting your energy. I think that's a really important lesson.
Exactly. And doing the level one, so many of the students, like almost 95% of them, have become so less judgmental.
Yeah.
And it's such a comfort to live with a person who is less judgmental.
Yes,
Isn't
absolutely.
it? It's like you can recognize the tone of the voice of others, and you can understand what they're trying to speak to you, answer back in the way they need answer, not creating conflicts,
Yes.
concentrate on your own health. So this was actually Ayurvedic basic consultant course was a dream of mine, because it was like putting people in the position of the driver's seat of their car, to kind of take their car where they want, not where their partner want, not where their children parent want, but where do
Yeah.
you want to go. And that's why I think, like, dreaming is really important, because when you dream, then you try something, it doesn't work, you recheck your dream.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And you need to have some kind of dream, but so many of us are so engaged in conflicts which don't need to be there, like
Yes. And I think also,
past, future.
yeah, yes, sometimes we have dreams, and the people around us actually sit on those dreams to some
Yes.
degree,
Yes.
and they judge those dreams that we
They
have.
judge the
And
dreams.
I think they do, and I think something that I've a big sort of learning curve for me with studying Ayurveda is recognizing that judgment is not actually about you, it's about them.
It's about them.
So you
Totally.
have to continue gently, without being confrontational, going towards those dreams,
Yes.
because they're your dreams. You have a right to your dreams, and as you do that and you start to achieve your dreams, the people around you stop judging in quite the same way, and they begin to realize that maybe they could have some of their own.
Yes. I
And I
like this.
noticed that in my family.
Yes, I like this quote that, you have to really be in very clear about what you want, and then you have to do it every day, because the appreciation part comes later.
Yes. Yes.
Like when everybody says like you're doing well and so on. But what really makes me happy is like the inner appreciation what I have for trying stuff out.
Absolutely.
And everything
Absolutely.
won't work out, right? But at least I would just see the dream and the future in which I want to go. And it cannot happen without taking care of your health. It cannot happen without knowing who you are, from which family tree you came,
Absolutely.
what has time done to you. Why can't you just smile? Where
Yes.
is the smile? I don't
Yes.
know what you do. You meditate, you do yoga. Where is your smile? Where is your health? Is the two
Absolutely.
questions I ask people always. Where did you leave your smile?
Yeah.
Because smile makes all the hormones balanced.
Yes. Absolutely. And part of ACOC1, we look at that, don't we?
Yes.
And it's that giving people the tools to realize what happened, and
Yes.
maybe, or when it happened, or at what part of their life they lost that smile. If
Exactly.
maybe
They
it was their
lost the
smile,
smile.
maybe it was their confidence, whatever it was, and what it was that did that. And we know that we so much of who we are has been given to us by authority figures, whether it's our parents, our teachers, our bosses, whatever. They tell us certain things about ourselves, and we take that on and we wear the mantle. And Ayurveda gives us an opportunity to stop and look at that through a magnifying glass and go, is that true?
Exactly.
Is that really who I am? Just because someone put that label on me. And I think when you stop and you do that, and you reassess, and you looked at the various, in ACOC1, the various ages, at what our needs are, and what may happen if those needs are not fulfilled. And it really does help you to recognize where
Yes.
those gaps are
And
in our emotional journey.
I think like this system with, the ACOC one being created of a basic consultant, because I consulted so many people, I found it that I have the wisdom to guide them, because sometimes being in online courses, you can really feel lost. There's so much of information. Everybody is talking about how it needs to be. And it can be quite frustrating to feel like you are not there, like, oh,
Yes.
everyone looks okay. I am the only one who is not okay. But all of you worked hard in the level 1 for your certification, but do you remember how much we smiled and laughed as well?
Well,
Like,
we did, because of course you start something like this and you all come to the, your Zoom meetings and things with your armor zipped up initially, don't you? And then, as we said, it's like we start peeling the bits off, and then
yes,
you realize, we all have things going on. We all have our personal foibles and beliefs and things, and we had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs, actually
we had.
recognizing
I
things in
love
one another.
teaching your batch. I have no this, like, I really had fun, and with fun we were learning. So it was like my ideal way of learning, because recently I read also, like, in scientific studies, if you do things in a playful, light, joyful way, you just have to make
Yes,
2 repetitions.
yes, I read
But
that.
if you're serious, if you're like, oh, this needs to be done in a very serious way, you have to repeat at least 100 times, so
Yes,
I
pretty.
find the fun as a great way to learn, and
It is.
it's an essential element of learning.
Yeah. I think when you bring in that laughter as well, it helps people to kind of shed the facade and to
Yes,
actually show themselves
yes,
and, share. There's a lot of sharing went on in that group, and which was wonderful. And I think it was very helpful for a lot of people.
exactly. And it's like also everyone looked lighter, and of course they got a certification. But for me, it was really better. Like, each week I saw everyone more smiling, learning, yet very hardworking, and efficient, because your group performed really good. So, but what was like the major change? What happened with you after the course? Like, if you could sum it up in 2 lines, what is the major change?
Well, I seeing clients, and whilst from my Chopra training, I was teaching a lot about the lifestyle, Ayurvedic lifestyle, and how we can bring those things into our and daily routines, and things we can bring into our life. I think with the ACOC one, I'm focusing much more on the nutrition side, which was always a big part of it, but it was more general. Whereas now I'm doing more food plans for people in a more intensive way and monitoring what they're doing. It's given me that extra knowledge, that additional knowledge, and that's just fitted in really well with previous trainings, and it's expand, which is what we intend to do when we do a course, isn't it? It's expanded my range of knowledge, but it's also given me more tools that I can use with my clients and with myself. That's
Do
the
you have
important thing.
more patience for them? Do you have more joy for them? Do you have
I
something like, like you were consulting before people and now you're consulting? It has your
Yeah,
energy changed,
my energy has changed, and if I tell you, I have someone I'm working with at the moment who is got a vata imbalance, which is a very high energy situation going on, and very insecure in her decision in her business life. She's an animal. she nails it in her business life, but in her personal life she's struggling at the moment, and she must have texted me 20 times the day before yesterday on a couple of very small details. And I think before doing your course, I'd been thinking, for goodness sake, woman. now I'm going, okay, I know what that is. That's okay. I know how to respond to that, and just give her the right response, so that then I calm that one down, and then I'm expecting the next one. I almost know the next one is coming, and we're gradually working through them, and just explaining to her that what she's doing is not wrong. She's not in the wrong. She's not done something wrong. It's just where she's at this minute in time, and we're not going to stay there. We're going to be moving from that place. So I think, again, for me, the psychology and
Tolerance.
recognizing what's going on with the other.
Yes, more tolerance, understanding. And
Yes.
yes, I think, like, yeah, that's really beautiful. And so what, like, you have seen the Chopra system, you have done meditation courses, you have done the ACOC one. What would you tell to a person who loses hope? Who sees darkness, who feels no motivation? Do
Yes.
you think like he has to start with education as well, because knowing something will be better than others telling for them? Or
I think someone who is in that dark space has to start with self-care, and they need to know what the self-care is. So that is a gift that ACOC1 can give to them. It has to start with us. We know it does. If you're in a dark place, if you feel you're out of control of your life, we all have dark places.
we all have, no doubt.
Most of us, or a lot of us, have have the skill sets to take ourselves out of those dark spaces into lighter spaces more often than the dark spaces. So having those tools and those skills is a big asset.
It is.
Being happy is not a magical formula. It's something we do have to have an input. We do have to work at it. We can't be in a dark space and think that suddenly the light is going to come shining in. It's about little cracks. It's about creating little cracks. So gradually, it's not going to come pouring in one go, and gradually the light comes in, and gradually we lighten up. And before we know where we are going, my goodness, here I am. I'm back out of that dark space.
Exactly.
I'm back in my power, back in my presence.
Yeah, what I learned in my life from being in the dark space is that I have the courage to come out. So I always was like, okay, this is bad, this shouldn't have happened. I'm like, hey, wait, if I'm in this dark space, I definitely have a strength to come out.
Yes.
And once I came out, it was not easy, but once I came out, I had so much of more confidence in me. And that's why I made a video also, like, confidence is a training. Don't expect yourself to show up confident. You have to train. And
You
dark
do.
space is the perfect place to start.
Because once you've got out of a dark space once,
Yes.
you do it again.
You do
You
it
did
again.
it. Yes. Just what were those skills? What did I do? What were the
What did you
tools?
do? Yes. What helped me out? And that's what I studied and kind of, tried to make a place for people, because like being lost gives you a new direction.
Yes, it does. Yes. And being in that dark space, we learn a lot from that.
We learn from there.
We learn from our dark spaces. That gives us the tools and the knowledge to move forward in life, and to then, once we've assimilated that knowledge, to help other people out of their dark spaces.
Exactly. And when I was in the dark space, I'm like, okay, I don't know where to go mentally or psychologically, but I could take care of myself. So it was like about really wrapping yourself with your love and just wishing for the way, instead of constantly stressing yourself to find out the way, and believing there is a way. So all in the dark will find a way out. But you have to really be trying things. And education is nice in the form of even the consultant level 1, because it's not like you have a problem. It's like, yes, that's how we see it in Ayurveda. And then you can just gently be guided out with knowledge, information for what's right for you, because it might not be right for your mother or partner or anyone else. Your way.
Absolutely. And I think recognizing, if it was your best friend that was in that place, or your child or whatever, you would want to nurture them and care for them.
Nurture.
And bring them up and bring them out of that space gently and be there for them. It's applying that same knowledge to yourself.
Yeah.
That same care, that same love. The self-care is so important. It all starts with self-care.
Yes. So many of the lost people found calmness and peace in their being. And, of course, they studied Ayurveda, but in this way, it's always like a different way, because it's about you and then it's about others. So it's like amazing for me, to see you also, you're also changed in a way that you were always very calm and knowledgeable, but you have more understanding towards the difficulty, towards the psychological aspect of the people, the personalized plan of nutrition. And you're going to shine more and more in the natural world now, because you recognize human beings, not just the philosophy.
Yes, recognizing the humanity in others is.
Yes.
I think if you do a lot of the work that we've done, and you take yourself to a place where you have an equanimity, it's I think ACOC1 has been helpful in reminding me that not everyone is in that place.
Totally. And that's where as a consultant also, we kind of work on seeing where they are and making them progress slowly. and supporting them in the job, because support is something we get from family and friends, but everyone's busy. So they might not be able to support you in that way which you expect, and it can just be expectations in your head which might cause you. So creating consultants is a program which will create people who are aligned with themselves, their strength, peace with themselves, and then have the knowledge to help.
Yeah, I think you can't teach this until you have done it with yourself.
Totally.
You need that self-awareness.
You need the self-awareness. You need the self-awareness, and then this journey is beautiful. So it was so nice to have this chat with you today, and I'm really glad you're helping people in UK with their health, and now the basic consultant course and then the professional consultant course, so UK gets more different style of health in deeper forms with understanding. And Gail offers her consultation. You can contact her for a consultation if you're in UK. We'll be posting her address and email, so you can contact her if you want a reading from her and help out if you're feeling lost or tired. Because the worst thing we can do in life is that we are not in a comfortable position and not asking for help, not knowing what to do, and thinking something will change. So help is out there. Go out, say you're important, and get the help you need.
Yes, I think we all need a guide when we're a little bit lost, don't we?
Totally, we need a guide, and the guide has to be in a gentle way, in a smiling way, in a fun way. Nothing has to be too serious. Yes, so it all has to be in a way that we can smile after a session with a guide.
Yes, and it can be a lot of fun.
It can be.
It's a lot of fun. Yes.
It is a lot of fun.
I think ACOC1 is for anybody that wants to improve their health, their mental health, their emotional well-being. And I'm opting to go on and do ACOC2, but doing ACOC1 doesn't mean you would have to go on and do that. You could just do it for you and for your family, or you may find that you get the bug, as I have, and you may then want to go on and do the next level and go out and share that knowledge and information with people out there.
Yes, I agree with that. It's a course designed for loving yourself and knowing how to take care of your health.
It's been lovely talking to you. Thank you. Bye. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, dear. Thank you all for listening to us today. And I'll be back in some other video inspiring you to take care of your health, because I'm very particular about that you take care of your health and love yourself in the right way. Bye-bye.